sorry YouTube, it cut out. We're going to continue this interview in part 2. Here it is.
So because this is trainable, a lot of people yesterday were typhoonining the whole time into reinforced truth, and I just chained it 3+1. Obviously fits in with it there perfectly. I had a guy warning this because he thought I was playing sabers, so polarize your range a bit.
Yeah.
But being chainable is absurd. So warnings, I don't really want to talk
Oh,
about.
and another card. Another reason I wanted to ask you, how is this against stuff like chain disappearance? Like a lot of people were citing chain disappearance.
Yeah.
Do you think this was a problem for this card or a positive for the card?
It's actually a positive because they bring in chain disappearances, and when you have this on the field, you just set it, and you don't activate it really. And then when you do play your Kagamusha and they chain dis it, you chain the reinforced truth to get you another one out, sort of thing. So you can play around chain disappearance in a sense. And then you only need really one to go off because you've got that. The rest of the time you can use it for your deaths and things like that as well. So it's pretty good for that play.
Solemn Warning, obviously staple.
Yeah. The best card in the format, Royal Oppression. So this card is actually ridiculous. Like it wins every single game. Like on the spot when you drop it. If you have a Shen plus this, you rate to win about 95% of your games. And everyone's just cold to it when they play it. And it's interesting that we don't play Trune, which is also obviously quite good with Royal Oppression, but we found that it wasn't needed because you just drop this and you just use these Nagatama and Black Horns and you just use that, pretty much ride that to victory when it's on the field. SJ.
Solemn Judgment, obviously.
And then
Trap Dashu. A lot of people have ruled. This card's obviously defined formats at times. It's been restricted. It's been a really good card. Though everyone ruled it out this format because people like Heavy Storm is banned, and a lot of people are a lot less conservative. They're setting a lot of cards on turn 1. They're committing a lot of their hand. Why did you think this was good? Like, do you find a lot of situations where the card is dead, and how do you think it worked? Like,
there are a few reasons. We expected the best deck to be plants, and Trap Dashu is very live against the plant decks and Treeborn decks and a variety of other decks, like even like Degrees and stuff. It's live in a lot of situations, obviously. Opening at turn 1 is obviously absurdly broken as well. I didn't lose a single game where I opened Dashu. And then there are a lot of spots in this format where they can play a True Nade, say, or they flick Raikou targeting a Dust Shoot, or they MSC a Dust Shoot, and you get a lot of value from that. Obviously in the mirror it's a lot less chain, but I think it's definitely worthwhile. The format's all about chainability really. So you need warning effects, and then you need cards that are chainable. So you have 3 chainable traps nowadays, plus 2 MSTs. So when they're Typhoon, they rate to get a lot less value than another random opponent when they're playing.
So you're getting a lot more value for opponents blind typhooning
I mean a lot of players are just blind typhooning because they're thinking why not, but then when you train a Dust Shoot or Reinforced Truth, the swing is really just quite huge. So, And then do you want the extra or side?
We'll do the side.
So 3 puppet plans.
Puppet plans.
Just for the mirror. Against GKs I can't really justify bringing it in. So, because I don't think it does much, you're just playing a beatdown matchup. You just need it to the mirror. A lot of players they drop GM really early in the mirror, and they don't really play around GK top slant. And so when you do, you can just destroy them.
Yeah.
Then the best card in the Samurai Mirror, Vanity's Fiend.
Vanity's Fiend.
Yeah. They're pretty much cold to this card. They have a Mirror Force and a Dark Hole pretty much, and a Book of Moon. But I expect good players to be porting out Mirror Force in the mirror. So they pretty much have 1 to 2 outs, and even the Book of Moon's a semi-out. But there's a bunch of times this weekend when I just Puppet Plant and then sacrifice with Vanity's Fiend, their Shen, and then they have a hand that has Deaths, Reborns, Paisans and Grandmasters and stuff, and they just kind of not do anything about it. They have one more out, which is to have 4 counters on Gateway and summon a monster and double pump it, but it didn't actually come up to fun flex at home. But this card, I couldn't really justify bringing it against Planets. It was a bit too clunky, but
they've got a lot of outs.
But it's good against decks like Dragoonies and stuff like that as well. There's a lot of decks, the random decks, Agents. This is absurd against Agents as well, so they can't pretty much do anything. 3-dimensional Fissure.
Dimensional Fissure, a very common card played in Samurai. How did it work for you this weekend?
Yeah, it was really good. It was pretty much it was one of the best cards for me this weekend. I found it it's pretty much the format is plants, to be honest. So It serves two purposes. The first is obviously, graveyard hate, because everyone is still leaning in all their pot of Everests and other cards like that.
Yep.
And then at the same time, a lot of the tour guide decks, obviously, so you rank Sangad and a lot of other cards, Spores, and they can't play 1-for-1, and like the whole engine is pretty much dead.
Yeah.
And then obviously negate puppet plan is huge. So we found that a lot of people were running more puppet plans than kinetics, so you can punish them accordingly. So when we're bringing these in, we side out all our double-edged sword techniques and all 3 bonds.
Yeah.
So you're pretty much just playing like a really slow controlling deck, I guess. Smashing ground.
Smashing ground.
Yeah. So we were obviously afraid of kinetic soldier. Also, I wasn't sure if people would have catched on to that streams yet. So it's another ounce that if they're playing in the mirror. Additionally, when you bring in deep features, the games can become a bit of a grindy beatdown match. So with that in mind, we found that by having these in, we can like counteract a lot of the threats. Like a big synchro, we can be pretty cold to sometimes because we generally lack a lot of removal for their monsters. Say if they True Day to make a big monster or something, so we need an out to that. So it works really well actually. So I was very happy with it. Double Twister. This guy was pretty nuts as well.
So you chose Twister. You're obviously not playing Dust Tornado 1 or Dust Tornado over Twister.
Pretty much. We thought that Decree Agents would be a big deck, or Fairies, whatever you call it.
Yep.
And because we're already playing 14 traps in the main deck, we found that if we brought in Dust Tornado and they go first and flip a Decree and we don't have an out, we just lose the game on the spot, so we couldn't really justify it.
Yeah.
Additionally, it increases in value because it obviously hits Necro Valley as well.
It also seems pretty good in the mirror against Gateways. And
when you're going
Uniteds.
first, you can definitely side this in for the continuous spells.
Yeah.
But yeah, the card was pretty good to this whole weekend. And then Dark Hole.
Dark Hole. A lot of people aren't maining it. You bought it. Did you bring it in a lot, or how was it for you?
Pretty much every matchup. In games 2 and 3, this card obviously increases in value. In the mirror, you do want to, if you think everyone's going to be playing Samurais, you'd main this. But if not, then I'd probably leave it aside. Whenever you bring in D feature, they can get these awkward clunky boards where there's just a few monsters and
It's obviously increasing value.
Yeah, and it increases in value because it's a better removal spell pretty much. So if you have a D feature out and they're a bit ahead of you on board and you Dark Hole, you should be able to win the game because all you need is really one Kaizen or one Grindmaster or something and you can just take over. So, it's a pretty good card.
And your last 2 cards?
Mirror and Torrential.
Yep.
So Mirror Force and Torrential pretty much come in for the same reasons. They come in against when you bring in Deep Dimension Feeder.
Massive removal cards, a lot of pretty big staples for a lot of other decks. But Samurai's obviously it's a very aggressive deck. Tries to drop a lot of cards. So Torrential, not very good in the main. No one's really maining it. Mirror Force, a lot of people are maining that in Samurai's. You chose not to because of other cards. You like the more counter trap type cards.
I found like everyone was going to Trishlas and Black Roses and Caiuses and things, and this would just sit there and it wouldn't really do much. So I was very happy.
Cool. So for the extra,
so we got Tastor, which is standard decisive arms, which you need for the fairy matchup. In testing, we had a lot of games where you just drop it like turn 2, discard their hand, and just attack the game sort of thing.
And it goes into, you make it with a Kaizen, Kagemusha. It's really big, it's 30.
Or Kageki, Kagemusha, Grandmaster as well.
And it's 33, it's massive.
I actually brought this out against plants as well, because I just didn't have another target. You can also, if they have Gauze, then this guy dropped a Gauze token, and I used it to effective pitch and look at his hand. So, Ancient Fairy Dragon.
AFD.
Just need it for Degrees and
Gravekeepers.
BRD. Pretty standard.
Bryonic.
Colossal Fighter.
Colossal.
I cut Colossal Fighter at one point. And then I found that you really do need it in the mirror, and there are a lot of spots that come up where if you have this and a warning or a royal oppression, the games get really degenerate, and you're not actually that likely to lose. So,
Guyanite, Shushians, Bakyon, Landois.
They're all pretty standard, I think.
Very standard.
Archfiend, which you need to get over Shan. Scrap Dragon, and then double Trishula. So you can double Trishula a bit more than dropping a Stardust, say. So I just didn't like Stardust. I brought out 2 games from 2 times in the last 500 games. So I put the extra cushion and it was pretty good. So I actually dropped it a couple times.
Alright, well, awesome deck, Will. Congratulations on top 8. So four people played this deck this weekend. It was Will Chan's creation. It was a really good deck. I like it a lot. I like it better than a lot of other samurai decks. It's got some differences and awesome. Congratulations, dude.